Hello! Welcome back to the UiPath Production Ready Essentials training. Now that we've worked a bit with selectors, we can move on in our learning journey to selector types. More specifically, we'll focus on the distinction between full and partial selectors. Full selectors contain all the information required to identify a specific UI element. They also include the top-level window, as opposed to partial selectors, as we'll see later on. The activities that have full selectors are not included in container activities, such as attach window or attach browser. Moreover, the basic recorder generates full selectors. Now, it's recommended to use full selectors when the robot must switch between multiple windows while performing the automation workflow. Partial selectors are enclosed in containers such as attach browser or attach window, which store the information related to the top-level window. As a result, partial selectors do not include that information. Their usage is recommended in projects that automate multiple actions in the same window. Let's take a look at an example. We'll use a click activity to select one of the elements in the demo MyCRM application, such as the active checkbox here. Let's open the selector editor window. Now we can see that the first line in the generated selector identifies the application, so this is a full selector. The lines below are used to identify the element inside the application window. Moving on, let's also generate a partial selector to see the differences between them. As mentioned before, we need a container application, namely attach window. Now, before adding the click activity, we need to indicate the window that the robot must work in. Now we can go ahead and add the click in the Do section of Attach Browser. The selector of the click activity is not complete. It only contains the last part. Its first part is inherited from the container activity. Let's quickly look at an example of typing into the first name and last name fields. First, using the basic recording wizard and then the desktop one. We'll create a new sequence and start with the basic recorder. Let's change the first name to Jim and clear the fields beforehand. We'll change the last name to Young. Now, let's perform the exact same steps, but this time using the desktop recorder. If we have a look at the resulting workflows, we can see that the basic recorder generated two type into activities that have full selectors. As for the desktop recorder, it generated an attach window container. The activities inside it have partial selectors. Moving on, we'll go over one last example of what partial and full selectors look like, but this time we'll consider the case of web automation. Let's start a new sequence. Now we'll use the Open Browser activity and paste the go.uipath.com address. We'll use a click activity to select one of the elements on the web page, such as the search box here. Let's also use a click outside the Open Browser container to compare the two selectors. In the first case, our selector is a partial one. In the second one, the selector is full. And that concludes our lesson on selector types. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy automation!